Okay, we're talking about the littlest cheese, the small cheese. Still a piece, but it's just smaller. It's the professional exemption. I don't know why, this seems to give people fits too. I guess everything in this area does. But this one is actually, it's pretty easy to focus on and figure out, analyze. Ask yourself who you think right off the bat would qualify as a professional. You probably look at someone like me. Well, he's a lawyer. He's a lot of other things I could think of, but he's also a professional, and I am. I am a classically exempt individual under the professional exemption because I am a lawyer, I'm licensed. It might be different if I wasn't, although there's an argument to be made. We don't want to get into that right now, but as a licensed attorney, I'm definitely going to be, if I'm working in that capacity, because any of these you have to work in that capacity, so I'm exempt as a professional. But where the muddiness comes into this issue is when we're dealing with the learned professional. So there are many states, you got to look at your state law to determine where this is going to come into play. But we're talking about people with an incredible amount of knowledge through a prolonged educational history, and they're using it in the daily job. They could qualify as an exempt professional, regardless of the fact that they are not licensed, and that it is not per se a medical doctor, a lawyer, a CPA. There are a lot of other people that could qualify as exempt. An architect, for example, who's acting in that capacity and designing a structure would likely be exempt as a learned professional. So it's really going to be a focus on the years of education, the expertise. There are, in some states, again, there are weird exceptions to this. Like, for example, a registered nurse could be exempt. In a lot of other places, nurses would not be exempt. Clearly, a bookkeeper is not exempt. Someone who has a credential but is not really using it in that capacity would not be exempt as a professional. So one, you want to find, if you can, licensure, and that they're actually doing that in using that license in the course and scope of their job, or again, that through a prolonged history of education and expertise and skill, they've got it. Artistic professionals, artists, people in the acting field, would likely be considered exempt. So there are nuances to this. But I think you get the gist of it. It's one of these, when you see it, you know it. And if you don't, it's a wobbler. We always want to default back down to non-exempt. It's safer. It's much safer. It's really hard when we've crossed the line and kind of made a mistake and classified people as exempt and then have to turn back the hands of time. It's a political and potentially judicial nightmare for employers to have to do that. So we really want to try to get this right from the outset. So the first thing is obviously look at the federal scheme. Whatever state you're in, you also want to look at the state legislation in this area, because there are so many ripples and nuances at that level. I'll give you examples in California, where we're located. There are outside sales exemptions. If you work more than 50% outside of the office in sales, exempt. There are exemptions for carnival workers. There are exemptions for teachers, and a lot of states have those. So you really have to analyze whether your people come under those very special and unique exemptions. Otherwise, you're looking at executive, administrative, professional. All three of them require the salary basis, the salary level, straight ahead. Professionals, like administrative, can have a fee-based approach as opposed to a salary. It still has to be the amount that's required for the salary, but it can be paid as a fee. The bottom line, where this gets muddy, is deductions. We went through that. It's tricky. Hey, feel free to call us if you've got or email your consultant if you've got any issues with this. That's what we're here for. It's a case-by-case basis, and we always appreciate those questions. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of this. Stay tuned for the next webinar.